Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
Bloody Happy Hour here. Thirsty Thursday. What do we have?
We have some White Claws and we have some tequila.
And we have some twang lemon salt that Caroline hates, but I'm obsessed with.
Yeah, so she's going to lick it while I...
Stick it?
Stick it? Oh, gosh. Well, that's how this podcast goes. So if you're not prepared, then,
get you some BetterHelp. Listen to this episode right now. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/bloody today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HEL.
So, I forgot to mention on Tuesday, I forgot to ask you about if you heard about Lieutenant Dan.
So,
not Forrest Gump,
not
Lieutenant
Forrest
Dan.
Gump, but I have been seeing that, and I was just thinking Forrest Gump.
Okay, as was I. But then I finally kept...
You'll dig.
I finally started.
Caroline hates not knowing.
I have the biggest FOMO.
Even if she forgets in 7 seconds, the fact that she knew at one point, she's
yes,
good with that.
Yes. So it was this guy who was going to try to ride out the hurricane in his boat, and... it was just all over there, like, Lieutenant Dan is riding out the hurricane.
Does he have one leg? I need him to have one leg.
You just wait. So apparently, there's this streaming service called Kick, which I guess is similar to Twitch, which is like kind of maybe like a YouTube. I don't know. But this guy who's a Kick creator offered him like $100,000 or something. They were going to if he lost his boat, Lieutenant Dan lost his $100,000 boat, and a Kick deal of $100 million, because that's what he was offered. But then these people were offering him this stuff until they found out about his criminal history.
So what did they want him to live stream from the hurricane?
No, I think he just became like, I don't know how he even became
the news
a
must
thing.
Have showed him.
They must have, but it says internet sensation Lieutenant Dan has been arrested over a dozen times and is accused of trying to set a woman on fire. 54-year-old Joseph Malinowski went viral for refusing to leave his boat in the Tampa area ahead of Hurricane Milton. There's an open criminal case over whether or not his boat even belongs to him. He's been arrested for battery against law enforcement officer, drug possession, and attempted breaking and entering. In February, Malowski, reportedly got into an argument with a woman who was on a concrete bench. Okay. He approached the woman and poured gasoline on the bench where she was sitting and allegedly set it on fire. Lieutenant Dan then started pouring water on her and tried to light her on fire as well. A GoFundMe was recently set up for him, calling him, quote, the kindest soul who is always ready to lend a hand. And it's raised tens of thousands of dollars. So here's the issue. Like, now that these people who offered him this money found out his criminal history, they're like they're backtracking, they're taking it back, and now people are calling him a grifter, which is just like you're doing this on purpose for attention. But it's like, no, everybody, so it's like the interneted itself. Like the internet came to him, the internet offered it to him. He didn't do anything. He didn't go out and ask for it. And so people are mad. They're saying they should have looked into his history before praising him and giving him all this, or like offering him all this money. So then the joke is the internet duped the internet. So I also heard that there was like he didn't even set up this GoFundMe. Somebody else did. And then I also heard he's like a child sex cases against him. And I mean, you should see this guy.
Sounds like a winner. Does he look like Lieutenant Dan?
Wait. Those are all his mugshots. He ain't got no teeth. He ain't got no teeth.
God.
So that's just a little funny, interesting
So
story.
random.
Lieutenant Dan. Let's go to the homeless, toothless guy and
make him a millionaire.
That's okay. God bless him, but not really, because he's obviously anyway. There you go, Lieutenant Dan.
Can I put you on the spot and ask you a question? When I came to pick up Blanco this weekend, so Caroline watched my dog.
I fell asleep real hard.
And she would. So I just let myself in as one would.
Because you texted me, and it was like literally within 10 minutes, I was out.
Yes. So
everything was, lights are on, TV's
everything
on.
was on. That's why Madam Web was gone, because the damn back porch lights, the TV loud, the indoor TV was on, the door was open.
I was planking horizontally on my back. Like as stiff as a board. She videotaped
I tickled your feet.
You did?
Yes, you did not budge. But then you have labels all over your house. You have stickies.
Okay.
Like you're an ESL teacher.
No, I was, you know how sometimes your house can get toilet paper, like TP'd? Like, they'll wrap your house?
Yeah.
I was Post-it noted.
Okay.
So I had a friend who had stayed at my house while I was gone, or she came to just like feed the dog. Well, she got bored and she started drinking. Wonder who this is. And so she decided she was going to go through every single Post-it note of mine and put...
What? I'd be pissed you wasted my Post-it notes.
I know. I don't use them, so I thought it was real funny, and I just let them sit there because it has microwave, knives, dishwasher, refrigerator, freezer, mantle, candle, keyboard,
everywhere,
jewelry, mirror, another mirror. They're everywhere. So
I thought they were drunk reminders for you.
No, but I was in this position. I had my finger.
Like you were thinking real hard.
But
do you know, like, the Texas Tech game was on real late? It started at 10. So when we got there, it was still on. So we watched the last 5 minutes. Because it was on. Slippy sat on the couch.
He's like, oh, she gone. We're chilling. I woke up and I was like, is Blanco still here? Oh, yeah, they must have picked him up. I must have fell asleep. I was tired. I was like, oh gosh, I hope I had clothes on. But I did. I was very peaceful at rest.
I did my finger like this just in case you were, make sure you were breathing.
Oh, that was so funny.
Well, I thought you were an ESL teacher, but
maybe no, it's okay. Not. So we're gonna go to North Carolina. And this case was on Dateline in 2018. Because I was assuming that it was going to be like on 2020 next week, like my last story I was, because remember you used to like, where do you get these random stories? And then all of a sudden, my random story popped up on 2020. Obviously, they listened to the podcast. So, hey, shout out to 2020. If y'all want to interview us for anything, we are here. Just give us a call or something.
We'll do
1-800-BLOODY-HAPPY-HOUR. I don't know. So, we're going to go to Hope Mills, North Carolina, which is near Fayetteville, North Carolina, somewhere. It's a little small town. A lot of retired military people are there because it's close to Fort Liberty, which is formerly Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay.
So a big, really...
Did something happen there? Were they bad there where they needed to change the name? Like
probably.
Fort Hood?
I'm sure it was racist or something.
Well, Fort Hood just had a bad connotation because people kept dying there.
I still think it's called
nobody
Fort Hood.
wanted to
What's it called now?
Fort Cavazos. After somebody that went missing there, probably. Should have been called Vanessa Guillen. Fort Guillen.
Yes.
Fort Guillen.
So, In this town, there's a small town, not much to do. A lot of the kids, like high school kids and stuff, will hang out like by this creek that's close by. It's like kind of deep in the woods. They would swim, hang out, camp, whatever. So one person in particular who went out there was 15-year-old Danielle Locklear. So she was just like funny, great personality, popular. She would randomly post videos on YouTube, just messing around, having a good time. It doesn't say that she's bubbly.
But it sounds like she is.
But it sounds like she might be.
Sounds like she's got a
I don't know if she's
personality.
bubbly, if she's just like fun. Like, I don't think I'm bubbly, but I think I'm just like fun.
Okay. It's a big difference.
Yeah. So if you don't say bubbly, then I don't know. So that's why I was kind of like, ugh, I don't want to do this story, but then I kind of had to. She's happy-go-lucky, okay? Okay. So in 2014, Danielle, I'll use both names. She's living in Hope Mills with her aunt and her aunt's family because her parents were going through a divorce, and it was like a very like contentious, acrimonious divorce out of state. I think they were in South Carolina. So she moved to North Carolina to live with her aunt and her grandma. And they just didn't want her to be around all the drama, so they figured it would be better for her to go up there, which everything was fine. She fit in right away. Okay. She made friends, and she, like, soon after, like, started dating a guy. So, like, within, like, 3 months, she was dating some guy. She had several friends. No big deal. So she's seeing this guy, Jermichael. It's either Jermichael or Jermichael.
Okay, go.
It's J.E. Michael. They got along great, blah, blah, blah. She starts to become really popular. She did well academically. And she had a typical high school relationship with Jermichael. Like, they were cute. They were all into each other. They would do the whole break up, get back together, break up, get back together, like whatever, all the things. And so Jermichael was great at sports. He was never got into trouble, just seemed like a good kid, and he wanted to become a Marine after high school.
Okay. Maybe a red flag.
That's a good red flag for me. Uh-huh. So by the time 2014 comes around, Danielle had been living in Hope Mills for about 10 months. And after I think she had been dating Jermichael for like 8 of those 10 months. So they got together pretty quick, and they dated off and on for quite a while. So we're in that same day, March 10th, 2014, her aunt and grandma are going out of town, like for the weekend. And so she's 15, so she could be old enough to stay by herself, but they were like, well, we don't want you to just stay by yourself. So when you go stay with your grandpa. So wherever grandpa lives, I guess he lives down the street.
Okay.
So they didn't want to stay at home alone. So she goes, stays with grandpa. And that same night, it's like 9:45 in the night. And she's like, hey, grandpa, I have to go drop off a notebook to one of my friends who I go to school with. And it's just like literally a couple of houses down. It'll take 2 minutes, and I'll be right back. So she leaves. Grandpa's like, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Where's Danielle? She's not back. What happened? Whatever. She was not right back. So he starts to worry. He like goes outside, looks up and down the street. It's like nothing happened on the street. All he sees is like street lights. Then he goes over to the friend's house where she was supposed to go, and the friend is like, she's not been here at all.
She was meeting Jermichael.
So the next morning, her aunt and grandma and mom were all informed about it. So I guess he just was like, I don't know what to do. I guess he went to sleep. Grandpa was too tired and old. Okay, so maybe. Anyway, they end up right away when they find out, call the police, and the police were DTF. They were all about it. We have Hope Mills police, we have Fayetteville police, we have sheriff's department deputies, we have the FBI, and we have a task force. So we have about 50 law enforcement officers out there.
She must have been real cute.
I think she was.
Yeah. That helps when you're real pretty.
It really does. And so they they were all trying to work to figure out where she was and all the things. So the police wanted to believe maybe she just ran away. Like maybe she just like wanted to go back home, to go back south. Who knows? Maybe she wanted to go run away with her boyfriend or run away with a friend. They always go to the runaway theory to begin with. So police end up, okay, obviously you got to question the boyfriend.
Yes.
So,
especially if his name's Jermichael.
And especially if it's Jermichael. So they bring Jermichael in for questioning. He said he has not seen her in a couple days and that they actually had broken up.
Oh, how convenient.
Mm-hmm. So they were like, well, like, what can you, is there anything that you can, like, anything that you can do to help, anything you can say to help? And he's like, whatever you want me to do, I can do it. Just tell me what you need me to do. I don't know. I haven't seen her. I don't know. Don't believe you. He said he loved her. She was a good girl, but the spark had died down and they just grew apart. He said, and they're like, did you do anything to hurt her? He said, no, he didn't do anything to hurt her. Did you know anybody that did anything to her? No, I didn't know anyone else who wanted to hurt her. All this stuff, normal question stuff. So on the day she went missing on March 11th, she actually did not go to school that day.
Uh-oh.
Which we did not know. They did not know that until obviously she's missing. And then the teachers were like, well, she wasn't at school. And they're like, what? She's not at school? Why was she not at school? So family was completely unaware that she was ditching school.
Was Jermichael at school?
I don't know. But they had heard whispers and rumors about this creek nearby where all the kids hung out. And like the kids knew like the cool spots to go, not necessarily the parents. Maybe they were like, oh, they're at the creek, but they don't know exactly where at the creek. Mm-hmm. So they are talking to, apparently it's like this no adult zone or whatever. So they find one of the high school kids who is like, hey, let me show you where all the kids go. So they take them out there. They go to the creek and they see something very ominous. They see help, H-E-L-P, like written in like it's like a little bit of dirt and stuff and just like, it's just the creek bed.
Yeah.
So they see help written out in the like dirt sand area. So they're like, that's odd. Further down this creek, there's like fire pits. It's just like it's wooded, all the things. So there's like trash and stuff. And
but they would go there and drink and hang out and have
So there's like
bonfires.
probably empty beer cans and just random trash. And
condoms.
There's like random pieces of clothing, I'm sure. They came across all kinds of stuff. But when they looked a little further, they found a sock.
Uh-oh.
And the sock was Danny's sock. And it was a sock. It was like her sleep sock. So like she would go to sleep in these socks or she was wearing them that night. So then like, oh no, we found her sock.
I have sleep socks.
Okay. Yeah. See? Yeah.
And
so
they're usually like fun little fuzzy socks.
Yeah.
Warm.
So they found one of her sleep socks. And they're like, okay, this is what she would have been wearing as she was getting into bed. So we know that she was here the night that she disappeared. And so we have police, we have firefighters, we have canines all searching the area, come up with nothing. So the friend that Danny was supposed to drop the notebook to at the house that she never went to, they talked to her and she was like, well, actually we hung out like earlier in the day and she was like, because she's basically saying she didn't go to school. We were hanging out together. And that's kind of how they figured out that besides the teachers. But yeah, she was like, yeah, we didn't go to school. We skipped. Danny seemed fine. She didn't seem like anything was wrong. Like,
she didn't say she met anybody online.
She said that they did go to the creek during the day. And Danny had even been seen on like some CCTV like cameras, just like walking along and just seemed to just be having fun, whatever, walking with friends. They're just going to the creek, skipping school. So nothing seems to be wrong. She doesn't know anything. She's like, yeah, I was with her earlier in the day, and then that's it. I don't know.
Okay.
So could Danny have met somebody at the creek that night? Maybe. What happened? Somebody had said she had been seen making out with the guy earlier that day at the creek. And it was a classmate, a guy named Angel.
Uh-oh.
So she making out with Angel at the creek.
Cheating on Jermichael.
But they broke up. Okay. So Angel was actually cleared pretty quickly because he confirmed that he was with his family during the time that she disappeared. And now it seems like she went to the creek that night. Then from there, she vanished and we don't know where she went. So we at least know that she was definitely at the creek that night.
Yes. Okay. Multiple people have said.
Yes. So the search has continued. 10 days later, after she's reported missing, police start focusing on this wooded area that's near the creek, okay? And this is where that they heard she might have been. So I guess it's just kind of down the road from the creek. The immediate family and the grandfather were all questioned, and they were all cleared. Okay. So, once again, let's see. From there, they decided they were going to bring Jermichael back in. They just maybe need to ask a few more questions to Jermichael because now they found about this wooded area. This wooded area is like 30, I guess, I don't know how long this creek is, but there's like the creek area and then you can go travel down. It's like 30 minutes away is where Jermichael lived. So they're like, well, Jermichael, was he at the creek or was he in the wooded area? Because the wooded area is like 30 minutes away. But that's kind of where his house was. Oh, hang on.
Okay.
So they decided they were going to question Jermichael again. So once they had him in, they're asking him more in-depth questions. And he was like, yeah, we broke up. I haven't seen her in a couple of days. We had been super close. She's 15. He's 17. He said they talked about marriage and family. He said they're a great pair. He was very laid back, but she was more like the extroverted one. Okay. He told police that she thought she was a burden on her grandma.
Okay. So he's trying to set up that she might have run away?
Mm-hmm. So maybe she ran away to a friend's house back in South Carolina because she was such a burden.
So stop looking for her right now. She ran away.
Yeah. He also told police that she has attempted twice to kill herself.
Oh.
Because and they're like, why? And he was like, well, she just didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're all thinking, Jermichael, did you have an alibi? Okay, Jermichael has an alibi. Jermichael was at home. His mom and a friend that night had confirmed that he was with them. Okay. But his phone data also showed that he was at home and that he had been texting from his house that night at the time of when everything was happening.
Okay.
So they also found out that he lived 30 minutes away from where the creek was. This is where the 30 minutes comes into play. He lives 30 minutes away from where this creek was, which is kind of in a wooded area. Okay. And so he didn't have a car. So they're like, well, he couldn't have drove her. How would he have even been over there? He didn't have a car. Obviously, he could have a friend with the car, but he was alibi says at home, phone says it at home. Like, okay, so I guess we're going to clear him and move on.
My goodness.
So police start investigating some other classmates, and they come across this guy named Derek. And Derek claimed he was best friends with Danielle. Like, just best friends. But nobody else knew that they were even friends at all.
Oh.
Or they even knew each other, so it was kind of odd. And a rumor started to spread that Derek had asked her out, and she said no, so he cut her throat in the woods and left her to die.
Oh, that was the rumor?
Yeah. So when he was questioned by police, he was like, I barely even know her. I seen her a couple times in the hallway at school. She's beautiful, but she's too preppy and goody-goody for me. No, I do illegal stuff, and I know that them goody-goody girls are going to be snitching on me, so I do not hang out with those goody-goody girls. So this was a false lead.
Yeah.
So, and he had an alibi. He was at home or wherever. He had an alibi. So then they look back into Danielle's phone, and her last ping location was near this Highway 195. They said it was moving fast, meaning she was in a car, but then it stopped pinging, and then that was it. Okay. So one thing that worried police was that the road stretches the entire East Coast from Maine to Florida, and she could be anywhere if she was kidnapped. Like,
yeah, human trafficking is real.
Exactly. So police decide, they're like, okay, well, they went back to Derek for some reason. The guy who said he was the guy who was best friends with her, but then wasn't friends with her because she was too
bad boy Derek.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So they decided to search his house, and they find a burn pit, knives, and a shovel with what appeared to be blood on it.
Oh, shoot.
He also lived near this highway where her phone had last pinged. Unfortunately, when they
it wasn't her
just
blood.
thought they were going somewhere with this, it turns out that it was not blood, it was red paint.
Oh, Derek.
So he is now officially cleared. So now it's April 2nd, 2014. So it's 3 weeks after she's left and disappeared. And a call comes in from an off-duty detective. And he was just going fish. He was about to go fishing at this river.
Oh, no.
And he saw something floating in the water.
And he thought it was a doll or a mannequin.
He actually did think it was a body.
Oh, good job.
And it was quickly determined to be a body. Danielle's body. Wearing the same clothes as she was last seen in.
And probably one sock. She had been in that river the whole entire time. So I guess this creek is on one area, and then it flows over into a river, which is like, I don't know if she. Yeah.
No, she didn't flow into it because I know what happened. But yeah, so she'd been there the whole time. She had been had her ankles tied to. It said cinder block, but it looked like bricks. I don't know. I feel like a cinder block would act. Does the gases from the body overpower the cinder block?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, from what I read, it was cinder block, and it was determined that she was strangled to death, and a sock was in her mouth. It was her other sock. Yeah.
She was tied to bricks, but she was floating.
Well, I mean, I guess originally she sunk, and then the gases. Then I guess her
pulls on the rope.
Out. Yeah, because they rope tied her to the cinder block so she would drown to the ground, obviously. Yeah. And then I guess she eventually just or maybe they don't know how to tie the rope, and she came and
they weren't in Boy
But
Scouts.
they also had they had the rope and the. I'm thinking they're bricks, so I'm gonna go with bricks. They had the ropes and the bricks, and so they knew. This is how they had made the connection. So they basically were like, someone has tied her to these bricks, and then they tossed her into the water. Okay. So something had likely ended up at the creek. An incident happened at the creek, and then
her friend.
This is what they were
expecting.
They're like, and then she ended up at this spot 30 minutes away, but something else was 30 minutes away, which was where Jamichael lived. So now where her body is found is also very close by to where Jamichael lives.
Where it would have been closer for him to go there instead of the creek.
Yes.
But how did she get to him?
Okay. So this is where they believed that it started, which was at the creek. So police then look up, and they're looking for texts between Danielle and Jamichael. And they had texts a few days prior to her going missing. They didn't have any texts like the day before or the day of. They didn't have texts the day of her missing. But the texts that they did find were very mean, cruel, and threatening. She was trying to contact him, But he wanted nothing to do with her, and he blocked her. And she even went and used a friend's phone to try to call him.
Oh,
and
she missed him.
She was trying to contact him to tell him something.
She was pregnant. Gosh.
So he was taking Jermichael back at the police station. Back at the police station. This time he's with his mom.
Jermichael.
They got mama there. So he took a polygraph, which he failed. But he said he failed it because he was nervous and he had nothing to do with her disappearance. But police actually found the same kind of blocks or bricks or cinder blocks that were used to tie her down at his house. And they also found the same rope at his house. Jermichael.
Be smarter.
But they didn't arrest him yet because they still did not have enough concrete evidence. Okay, exactly. So they did tell him. They're like, well, like, tell us the truth, because you know what? We know that the rope that we found that was tied to her is found at your house. And we know that the bricks that were weighing her down are found at your house. So it's time for you to tell the truth.
Tell it.
So they double check his alibi, and it turns out that mom and grandma were like, well, we thought he was at home.
We thought he was in his room.
We didn't actually see him, but we just
snuck and took the car
he was there. And
I think I saw this.
And then they just assumed he was home. Well, now there's also a friend involved, Dominic. And Dominic was who he was with. And Dominic was part of the alibi, but then Dominic refused to speak to the police.
Dominic's probably a little smarter than Jermichael.
Mm-hmm. He lawyered up real quick.
Yes.
And it turns out Dominic was the friend with the car.
Oh, he was the accessory.
It was only a few days later that Jermichael decided to come in and confess.
Okay.
And
meanwhile, Dominic still ain't saying nothing.
Dominic ain't saying nothing. So this is what Jermichael says. He said that night he went over to her house to talk to her. And his friend was also with him. His friend drove him over there. He grabbed his wallet, threw it at her window to get her to come out.
Okay.
So she comes out, and then they get in the car, and they drive down to the creek, and they're sitting, and they just are talking for a while. Well, apparently the issue that she wanted to talk to him about was that she was claiming that she was pregnant. Oh, goodness. And he didn't believe her. And so I don't know, I guess he just had a pregnancy test on him. I don't know. But he apparently did, and he was like, pee on the stick right now. I want to see you do it, and I want to see it.
Okay.
And she refused. And so he said that if it comes back positive, he would provide for the baby, but he was not going to renew their relationship. I didn't know it was a subscription, but he's not going to renew the relationship. And she did not like that. And so then she started flipping out, and she starts snapping on him, starts punching him, slaps him in the face, jumps on top of him. And then all he could remember was that he grabbed her and started choking her, and then he blacked out.
Well, how do they always black out?
They always black out.
At the convenient part.
I mean, gosh.
Wait, was Dominic just watching? Or he was just
in
the
the car?
car?
Probably just
smoking
weed in the car, hanging out, chilling. So after he strangled her and she blacked out, that's when he and his friend Dominic put her body in the car, drove her to near his home, tied these cinder blocks to her, threw her over the bridge into the river.
Oh my gosh. He and Dominic together.
He said he did it near his home so he could get back to his mother so his mom would never know that that he left. He said the friend, Dominic, put the sock in her mouth because she was making a noise.
Dominic.
Gurgling. And after that, she was, quote, done.
Oh.
They put her in the car and threw her over the side of the river. And they said, to each other, "We're taking this to the grave. Tell nobody." So it always works out like that.
And Dominic kept his promise.
He didn't say shit.
Marcus, or what's his name? That's from last week.
Yeah, Jamichael. So going back to the middle of the story where, I said it said help was written in the sand. Apparently that was completely unrelated.
Okay.
That was just, I guess, some other person asking for help. And the text so remember how it said that his phone, Jermichael's phone, was showing that it was at home during the whole time? Well, he had I don't know if he left his phone home, but he had scheduled texts to go out at a certain time, and I guess he left his phone at home, and the text would send, so it would seem like he was at home because there's
So that's premeditated that you were going out there to kill her.
Yep, because he had an app to schedule the text, to schedule the app. Yeah. So
you're premeditating that you need an alibi, which was almost a little smart.
Jamichael and his friend Dominic were finally arrested and charged with her murder. Nobody thought he blacked out.
No.
And it was thought that he murdered her because he believed she was pregnant and he did not want to be a baby daddy.
Oh, my goodness.
Because why would he need to bring her down to the creek and schedule the text, just like you said, if he was not planning on murdering her? Because he obviously was. So he said he had to kill her, and then he would be free to go and do whatever he wanted, and he could go be a Marine, and she was not part of that plan.
You could still do it with a baby. Now you really can't do it because you're in jail.
And it turns out she
wasn't even pregnant at all. She was gonna ask.
Jermichael pleaded guilty to Okay, so he was initially charged with first-degree murder, but due to the crime being considered a crime of passion, he pled guilty to second-degree murder, and in return he was sentenced to a minimum of 25 to 31 years in prison without the possibility of parole, and Dominic got 6 to 8 years as accessory.
Dominic, I think you're stupider. Because you had no eggs in this basket.
I don't understand all these accessories.
I know.
Why are you going to...
My next story, we're going to have the same conversation. But, Dominic, you could have drove off while they were at the creek. So, Dominic went in knowing the plan, I feel like.
Exactly. Dumbass Dominic.
Dominic, you're a dumbass.
And Janky Jermichael.
Wow. And this is not victim blaming, but... why tell a lie about being pregnant?
Because she wanted to get him back, I guess. Maybe she thought that's how she would get him back, and then
she was her parents were going through a divorce. He was her comfort. That was her way to feel wanted or needed, or I don't know, loved. I don't know. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I know. And her parents, in their statements, they were like, "I hope that you see see her face and her last breath every single night that you close your eyes and go to sleep."
Oh, my goodness.
I know. And they were just that.
Well, and if he'd have just waited it out, it'd have come out that she was a liar and he would have looked good. Like I had a brother that in high school, somebody went around. My brother didn't even touch this girl and said, "Oh, yeah, I'm pregnant." And this girl was like ugly. And
he's like, hell no.
And he's like, no way. So we were making fun of my brother for like allegedly having sex with this girl. And it ended up, it was a lie. Mm-hmm. But she was pregnant, but she was pregnant by this other guy that looked like her. She just always had a crush on my brother. But like,
oh my gosh,
we just waited it out.
Yeah. And
it came out that it was all a lie. But, like, my brother went through, like, this, he was embarrassed, this desperation stage where he didn't even, like, want to go to school because, like, she's lying, and now everybody thinks that we're going to be together. Oh, my gosh, I would have to come up with... it does put the boy in a scary situation,
yeah,
but
like,
not kill. Not kill. There's never excuse. He could have just waited it out, and he would have been vindicated or whatever. Now he's in jail for at least 25 years.
Isn't that crazy? What an idiot.
These motives.
They're dumb. These people are dumb.
Have we had a good reason to kill yet?
I mean, I would think self-defense.
Well, no, but have we had a story where we're like, kind of...
Maybe if they, like, raped you and abused you, but yeah, I don't know.
We haven't. We've had some where it's like, okay, Ed Kemper, I understand why you killed. Or, okay, serial killer, understand why. Because you went through like a tragic... She didn't have a good reason to kill? No, but she's free.
She's free as a bird.
Wow.
Yep.
Good story.
There you go.
It seems so familiar.
You might have watched it on Dateline 2018.
I feel like I did. Okay. Good story. We are going to stay in Texas next year. I already got a story picked. I found it like 2 days ago.
Next year or next week?
Probably both. And then I'm going to Tennessee and Alabama this weekend. So maybe I'll
Tennessee and Alabama?
They're like right next to each other.
Oh, okay. I'm good with maps.
Yeah. So Memphis, which I was like, I got to find a murder site in Memphis. And Soupy was like,
Riley Strain. Wait, where was that?
Nashville. That's in a couple weeks.
Oh, I'm sure we can find a good one in Memphis.
Well, Soupy's like, I'm not driving up and down the roads in Memphis because I guess the crime rate is high. They're on First 48 a whole lot.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah.
Okay. We will see y'all next week for a whole new week of Bloody Happy Hour. More news, a news story, and we're staying in Texas. Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.